2 more acts to go, and this one will be a little bit longer than the last one, which is nice since Act 4 felt so short. A quick recap. After dealing with the Lesser Eva and Dariel, we plan our next move as Thaisa mentioned that there was a woman in a swamp that could help us figure out Elias' ability of immortality. Without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. We meet back up with Thaisa, Lorath and Nyrel, and we quickly learn that Thaisa pretended to study under Elias, as she found it useful while she was hunting him. We ask how we're meant to defeat Elias, since he doesn't die. Thaisa says that we need to break a hold on his immortality. A logical solution to the whole not dying aspect if you ask me. Lorath believes that killing Elias will serve a massive blow against Lilith, and would greatly improve our chances of success against her. Thaisa says that we need to seek out Timaway in the marshes. She traded with the power in the swamp and received a long life for it. She might have the answer to kill Elias once and for all. Nyrel and Lorath will head to the swamps in search of answers on how to deal with Elias' immortality, while Donan and Thaisa will imbue the soulstone. We must help each of them. We begin with Donan and meet up with him. He intends to head towards the keep in Zakarum. Apparently it holds a strong presence of hatred there. Hopefully we'll be able to use that to prepare the soulstone trap for Lilith. Once inside, Donan mentions that the place feels like it's surrounded by otherworldly magic. Donan begins casting the spell to gather the hatred, but his problem. He begins getting really angry with himself, calling himself an old fool. He begins to realize that it's actually a lot worse than he thought. It must have been damaged when Astaroth took over Yorin. He will now need to repair it, requiring numerous materials and tools that we will need to go and collect. We head to a local village in search of the items required to fix the soulstone, but Donan mentions that this tiny little village in the middle of the swamp doesn't have what they need. Call me surprised. Donan yells at the shopkeeper, saying that he can feel the strange magic in the swamp, and where there is magic, there are users of magic. She directs us to a nearby witch to help us out. Which when we arrive, the witch is Thaisa. We ask her to help us with the soulstone, but she feels that it's not her responsibility, saying that the soulstone is about Lilith, not Elias, so it doesn't concern her. Donan asks her for the tools and the ingredients, but since we helped her survive Andariel's summoning, she will lend us her tools as repayment. However, for the ingredient Quicksilver, we will need to visit another witch named Valtha. We ask Thaisa why she returned here to the swamp, mentioning that since we plan to make Elias mortal, she is here to collect his debt. We ask Donan about his feelings towards repairing the soulstone, and he reminds us that the Horodrim have studied the soulstone for generations, and for him personally, more than 20 years. But there are not enough books in Sanctuary to contain what we don't know about it. It will take a miracle to work, but points out that it's what we expect of him. We journey through the dangerous swamp and arrive at Valtha's hovel. We tell her that Thaisa has sent us, and she tells us that she unknowingly just sent us to our death, saying that the pursuit of Elias is foolish and that only Lilith is our future. We have to fight her and manage to come out on top, taking what we needed and heading back to Donan and Thaisa. We tell Thaisa that we just met with Valtha, and she asks how her sister was. We tell her not so good after what we just did, since she chose Lilith over their friendship and allowed Elias to turn her. She can't believe it, saying that she would have known not to trust Elias. But we correct her in saying that it actually wasn't Elias that convinced her, but Lilith, finding her idea was convincing. Thaisa is devastated, saying that Valtha was her teacher. She guided her when she began her service. We begin the process to repair the soulstone, as Donan guides us in steps. It's quick to notice that Donan is very unsure of himself, not knowing how many times to stoke the fire, and briefly forgetting about the sulfur. When he attempts the spell to fix the soulstone, it fails. Donan begins losing his cool, stating that he told us that he isn't the man that we want or need. Thaisa takes us outside and mentions that Donan is not up to the task, suspecting that he no longer trusts himself. While we cannot erase all of his doubt, his most recent grief is the death of his son, which is, however, something that we could deal with, but mentions that he probably won't like it. She tells Donan that she wants to take him to an old place of power in the swamp, saying that it will do him some good. We arrive at this rickety old fire hazard as Thaisa mentions that Valtha brought her to this place when she was young, a place where you can face your demons, whether it be fear or grief. Donan is hesitant, wanting to leave. Thaisa reminds him that nothing in this swamp is free, not even his magic, pointing out his lack of adventure, asking if it's buried in his youth. He will need to place an offering to the swamp, A necklace or a ring will suffice, as long as he holds it dear. We bring back some ingredients for the tea and give them to Thaisa. Once the tea is finished, down the hatch. It's essentially a big old trip out session. Imagine a bunch of people doing mushrooms all for the first time. Donan, in particular, is tripping the hell out, while Thaisa and us just sort of sleep it off. He hears the voice of his son, as a spectral vision of Yoren greets him. Donan pleads with him to come back, saying that he shouldn't have allowed him to leave the keep. But he does come to admit that Yoren was ready to leave. Yoren tells him that he's right, that he needs to go, and he needs to go again, before telling his father that he is ready. Donan breaks down mourning his son. A pretty rough high if you ask me. We awake to a portal, the same one that Mephisto creates. When we enter, we can see a vision of Travancal, the place where Mephisto was once imprisoned, and later turned into the Durance of Hate, his own personal lair. He arrives and tells us that he did warn us that the Herodrim would only hold us back, saying that they are so consumed by their emotions that they forget what really matters. Lilith is the true threat, not Elias. We mention that we know why he is so afraid of her, since he is currently weak. He mentions that his fate is directly tied to ours. If Lilith devours Mephisto, Sanctuary is lost. He gives us an offer. He will open a portal out of the swamp, allowing the Herodrim to deal with Elias since it is their sin to bear, while we can work with Mephisto to stop Lilith. We tell him that we know who our real allies are, our friends. Very anime of us, I like it. Mephisto mentions that the day of reckoning will come and our true allies will be revealed. We tell him that the Herodrim are not the only ones planning on taking down Lilith. Mephisto laughs at this, saying that we shouldn't put our hope in Inarius, if that's who we mean, reminding us that Inarius was once his prisoner, and that he has seen Inarius' true face. He and Lilith are not as different as we might think. The angel was already filled with hate before he became Mephisto's prisoner. All he did was simply refine his anger, and now he has taken that new anger back with him to Sanctuary. We leave and arrive back at the tower with Thaisa and Donan. We ask Thaisa how Donan is dealing with his post-high. He apparently wandered around for hours after it wore off, but feels that a long journey through the swamp is a more rewarding one than a short one. She goes on to say that our journey was even longer, asking if we've faced our inner demons as Donan did. We tell her that we did, and hopefully for the last time. This time around helping Donan, you can quickly tell that he is much more sure of his decisions, missing no step. He begins his chant and turns into a goddamn master blacksmith, fixing the broken soulstone. We now leave to meet up with Neyrelle and Lorath in their search for clues to Elias' immortality. We meet up with him and find the hovel of Timaway. She states that only two kind of people come seeking her, those running from trouble or those running towards it. We asked if she had heard of Elias, which she denies. Neyrelle mentions that we believe that Elias has made a pact with the swamp to become immortal, saying that Thaisa told us to seek her out. At first she is upset, saying that only Thaisa would be cold enough to send a child out here to die. Lorath says that we have no intention of dying, while the woman very ominously states that one of us will. That is the way that it ends out here in the swamp, warning us to return home, and that she will not have a child's blood on her hands. Neyrelle mentions that she saw what happened with her mother, driven so mad by Lilith that it killed her. She is hardly a child anymore. Timaway accepts that and says that if Elias made a pact, it was likely with the Tree of Whispers. Apparently, she was once infected by the swamp's poison, and she herself made a pact with the tree out of fear. She now gives the tree knowledge in return for keeping her one step out of the grave, refusing to ever let go of her. We leave to find the tree and speak to Lorath about why he believes Elias sought immortality. He believes that the ritual to summon Lilith would be demanding, possibly believing that he couldn't survive it, and used it as a precautionary measure. We use some incense on the altar that will apparently show us the path to the Tree of Whispers. We get our second trip session, as we fall asleep in the middle of the swamp. Lorath briefly awakens to see... Oh, Jesus Christ. Hell no. I'll take a primeval over that thing any day. We awake to find a giant nightmare snake crawling through the swamp. We quickly surmise that the snake is likely the path, leading us to where we need to go. An interesting point comes up here as Neyrelle is describing being able to see herself in the snake's scales. Lorath mentions that he doesn't see a snake, instead only a cloud of smoke, which is unusual since we just saw the snake from his perspective only moments ago. We reach the Tree of Whispers as literal heads line the branches. The heads are used as a way for it to speak to us. We tell the tree that we have come seeking Elias, The tree starts to get annoyed, saying that Elias is slippery since he owes the tree. It deals in thoughts and insight in exchange for a head. Elias is the first of them to escape payment. We asked the tree to tell us what he wanted, and in return, we might just be able to help the tree collect. Apparently, he sought a way to summon Lilith, but made another stop at a place beyond the tree's sight. Loreth believes that the place being described could be the place that Elias claimed his immortality. One of the heads mentions that must be the reason why Thaisa has failed so dismally in reclaiming his head for the tree, revealing why Thaisa was hunting Elias. The tree tells us to seek a coffin beyond the shipwrecks, as it will take us to the location that we need to go, finding out what secrets are there since the tree actually doesn't know. We make camp for the night as Narel points out that Rathma's prophecy spoke of a serpent, wondering if the large serpent that we saw was what Elias was looking for. Loreth says that he doesn't know, mentioning that Elias has become obsessed with Rathma's prophecy after hearing it. Since prophecies are riddles, not even the very wise can be sure of their meaning, but Elias believed that he could solve it, and when Loreth told him to wait, he called him a fool. While breaking through the shipwreck, we come to a blocked door. Narelle mentions that she could maybe open the door from the other side, going by herself. She attempts to open the door, but we can hear a scream. We instead destroy the door and find her surrounded by drowned. Loreth mentions how bad of a situation this is, while Narelle is screaming that it burns. It turns out that she's been infected by a bite on her arm, causing necrosis to spread in her body. Loreth says that we have little time to save her and puts a tourniquet around her bicep. And problem solved! No more arm, no more problem. Narelle has passed out at this point, the missing arm probably having something to do with it, while Loreth tells her that she will become Horodrim one day, and that he won't fail her. We leave to find the coffin while Loreth tends to Narelle. We reach that coffin when the tree tells us not to fear this cradle. Colder beds than this await us yet. Once inside, it falls into the water, slowly sinking deep into the ocean while the sound of our breath grows fainter. We awake inside a temple with echoes of Elias still lingering. He speaks of Rathma, saying that he has come to this temple knowing the answers he seeks are held within. Another echo as Elias mentions that every tome, scroll and book in this temple provides the same answer. The only being willing to stand against the eternal conflict or against the prime evils was Lilith. Ironically, our protagonist sums up my thoughts on the matter very well.
The day I'm done with this self-righteous bastard will be a great one.
Elias cannot say if Lilith has good in her, but feels that the morality is a privilege of people in better situations. We are beyond the question of good or evil, but the question does remain, when he summons her, what will she do to us? He feels that he must prepare for anything, and since Rathma keeps the means of attaining immortality here, he plans to master it and then bring the mother home. Elias finds another book of Rathma, saying that he writes that when Inarius discovered Lilith's plan to overthrow the so-called natural order, he sealed her away. For thousands of years, Lilith sought to elevate humanity out of this cycle, fighting to secure us our birthright, sanctuary. We search further in and find Elias's finger. He hid a piece of himself in here to stay immortal. When we pick up the finger, the tomb begins to cave in and we fall unconscious. We awake next to Loreth and Narelle. We ask Loreth how the hell we got here, and he tells us that he found us drifting in a coffin, clutching a severed finger. We tell him that we thought we had drowned, and explain that Elias had stored his life essence in his finger, granting him immortality. We quickly burn that bad boy like it's a s'more, breaking that immortality. Narelle awakens and is pretty distraught that her arm is missing. She believes that we will just leave her since she feels that she is now a hindrance. We tell her that we won't be leaving her. We head back to the keep to meet up with Donan and attempt for a second time to imbue the soulstone with the hatred essence. This time around, Loreth and Narelle will attempt to help. Thaisa mentions that she can feel something, that someone is coming. Elias is here. Loreth attempts to leave but is yelled at by Donan, telling him that he must stay if this is going to work. So we join Thaisa in confronting Elias. Thaisa tells Elias that the tree seeks its payment, and he says that he will set the tree afire and cast our corpses onto the flames. Oof. We fight Elias once again, getting the best of him. Elias is now bloodied and battered, and asks how many times that we have to do this before we learn that his life is not ours to claim. We tell him that we have been in the deepest chambers of the sunken temple. with the most goofy look on our face, might I add. It begins sinking into Elias that he is no longer immortal, while we remind him that he has no secrets from us. He does his best Batman trick and escapes, but Thaisa quickly follows. We meet back up with Loreth and inform him that we've wounded Elias as we follow his trail of blood. When we do find Elias, he's leaning up against some stones, injured. Loreth wishes to speak with him and a crow arrives at the branch nearby. I was thinking of narrating this part, but I think that the voice actor for Elias did an incredible job. So, for the first time during the story explained of Diablo IV, I would like to rewind and play the scene in its entirety.
Oh, Elias. Was all this worth it then? Truly?
I brought Lilith to Sanctuary, a thing no one thought possible. And when hell rises to sweep across this world, I should be there beside her, ready to push it back. You left me alone to cross the lines you would dare not attempt, and you have nothing to show for it. You are nothing but a wasted life. Do not look to forgive me, old man, because it is you who brought us here. Was it worth it? That is a coward's question, Lorath. It suits you.
Elias of Aronok,
Oh, spare me.
of your own free will, you swore an oath to the Tree of Whispers.
This is not the life I deserve.
Pretty crazy scene, I must say. And did you notice that Loreth did not say much after the speech that Elias just gave? Elias slowly bleeds out and dies, and the crow swoops in for some action. The thing straight up takes his head, flying away with it. When we return outside, Thaisa mentions that she can now hear laughter in the wind, meaning that Elias's head is now with the Tree of Whispers. She mentions that this is where she leaves us, since Elias was her goal the whole time, not Lilith, saying her concerns lie elsewhere. Donan asks where Loreth is, and we mention that we haven't seen him since Elias called him a coward. Donan asks if to prove his courage if Loreth has rode off alone to deal with Lilith, but we mention that Elias never actually told us where she was. Nayrel points out that his head is now on the Tree of Whispers, so the tree would technically know where Lilith is going, suggesting that Loreth could ask the tree but would have to pay the price. Donan asks what that price is, and Nayrel says that the same that Elias paid, an eternity on the tree. Donan is devastated, yelling for us to hurry to the tree to stop him. When we arrive, Loreth has already made the deal with the tree, saying that Lilith has been 2 steps ahead of us for far too long, that the tree knew where she was and he asked. The answer was worth the price. Donan questions him, saying that he now owes the tree his head, and that the day he dies he will be taken to hang here with the others. Loreth asks if he needed Donan's permission, saying that it's done and to put it aside and focus on Lilith. He says that Lilith is on her way to absorb Mephisto's power, that she has found a gateway to hell, and she approaches with the key, saying that the gate is under Chaldeum, and if she is already inside of hell, then we will follow her in. Nayrel is concerned that only the 4 of us alone cannot complete such a task, but Loreth reminds her that it's our duty. The heads of the tree, including Elias, begin to laugh hysterically. We get more narration from Loreth, saying that it's a strange thing to know where you'll go when you die, but it's one less mystery to worry about. He feels he did what he had to do, whether it was the right choice or not. We needed answers, and we got them. Astaroth, the key to hell, Elias, everything has been leading us to this. And what we didn't know while being in the swamp was that Anarius and the cathedral were planning a campaign of their own to strike at Lilith. Their battle would leave the world as a wasteland, and whoever won would show no mercy to whoever was left. Our only hope is to reach Lilith before Anarius, ominously mentioning that we couldn't have expected what happens next. And that wraps up the events of Act 5 of Diablo IV. Only one more to go, and I really hope that everyone has been enjoying the series as much as we have been enjoying making it. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content in the future, and message Elias in the comments down below to show us that you made it to the end. Thanks again, everyone. We have more videos on the channel, so be sure to check them out and see if they are for you. Till next time, peace.